to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor made a man miss the line of scrimmage and then runs it into Pater for a one-handed INT. Are you kidding me? Kenny Moore.
What a play by Nyheim Hines.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's going on, Colts Nation? The Colts just made their second round pick, and it is Dayo Odeyingbo, defensive end from Vanderbilt. I think Cody and I can both sit here and agree that, you know, that pick definitely took us by surprise.
Yes.
We did not anticipate another defensive end being taken by Ballard. But this isn't actually just a defensive end here. This is a guy that has played multiple different spots on the defensive line at Vanderbilt, has played several different ways. And, I mean, Cody, I think it's fair to say, you know, while shocked, I think you and I, after looking at a few clips here of what he was doing when he was healthy, this guy had a lot of intangibles that you can't teach.
He's a freak, man. He is. I believe you said he's in like the 99th percentile on some certain things. So like
arm length.
He's got super long arms. Was just an explosive freak. Like just looking at some of his tape, man, it's just like, oh my word. Obviously you talked about the injury, the Achilles injury. Some people think it might be a freshman, you know, like a redshirt freshman season kind of deal for him with that injury he suffered, I believe, in January.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a concern. But you know, it's funny because, you know, it's kind of reminds me, honestly, of the Julian Blackmon pick last year, you know, where people said he was easily a first round pick if he didn't get injured.
Yes.
The same thing's being said about this guy, and the Colts get him at pick 54. So best player, I think it was the best player available for the Colts. I think we can clearly say that. Mm-hmm. Now I know it's going to make some people mad with offensive tackle being a need, but guys, we've been clamoring for pass rush for how many years now?
Yeah.
Ever since Robert Mathis retired, we have not been able to get to the quarterback. He can play all these positions right on the defensive line. We don't really right now have a legitimate backup three technique to DeForest Buckner. It looks like he can do that, right? He can be a guy that could be that quality backup. Like what happens if DeForest Buckner has to miss a game due to whatever?
This guy right now, honestly, outside of DeForest Buckner, he would be the best pass rusher on the interior of our defensive line right now. As is said right now. I mean, honestly, that's how good this guy is and his ability to create a pass rush because of his instincts and his movement and the way he's able to use his arms. I mean, like you said, it's the injury that's a concern.
Yeah,
most likely won't start the season right off the bat. It was kind of what we saw with Julian Blackmon. Yeah. So,
you don't have to. You have so much depth at defensive line. I think this honestly speaks to, you know, Ballard has not been shy about saying Bam Banogu needs to be better. He has not been shy about saying, you know, Kamoko Turay been a little bit more high on, I think. But I think this just goes to show, man, like, if you're not producing, we're not going to wait on you. This isn't the Ryan Grigson days where we hold on to our picks no matter if they're good or bad. You know, like Chris Ballard is willing to admit his mistakes and move on. Not saying Banogu could very much turn it around. But I think going back to competition, man, this is exactly what the Colts want. Is that competition. And I just personally think this is, you know, a little bit shocking, but also it's Ballard. And for the people who are already saying it's a bad pick, like, come on, give it a chance. Like,
give it a chance first.
Give it a chance. Let's stop saying these are bad picks because we've said this before. Just because you don't think he's the best player, in your opinion, doesn't mean that Ballard, all the scouts, all the people who put in, you know, 70-hour weeks scouting these guys, they know what these guys can bring, right?
Yeah.
They know for a scheme standpoint, from a personality standpoint, this guy fits exactly what they want. And it's funny, Derek, just looking at it. You know, we were claiming for pass rush, and then now we're upset with pass rush.
Yeah, because everybody's been thinking about
but I get
tackles.
I get it, because tackle is a need.
That's what we've been talking about, right? That's what a lot of us were expecting. And anyone that watches this video, that watched our video that we did with Andrew earlier in the day, he said, it's tackle or nothing for me. And I'm wondering how he's feeling right now. But,
I know.
But again, it's another guy that's like, oh, well, he has the talent to go first round, but there's a there's the injury that's holding him back, basically.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, guys, we've had Chris Ballard for how many years now? Why are you shocked by this?
I'm not shocked.
I was
now.
initially surprised. Yes, I think that's
We're
natural.
surprised. We were surprised by that because we were thinking, maybe it was going to be a random pick. But again, guys, we just got to give this time. We still got to figure out the tackle situation at this point. We still have no idea what Ballard and company is going to do for that specifically. Do they trade back in? Do they get somebody in free agency? We still don't know all the facts to that yet.
Yeah.
But Dayo Odeyingbo, a defensive end, defensive lineman, basically for Vanderbilt, a lot of high upside there. Injury concern is the problem here, but again, just another defensive line pick to create some more depth for this defensive line group, which we said was struggling. Yep. And Ballard and company is addressing that very early.
Right. How many times, Derek, have we said, if you can't get to the passer, right, your defense, no matter how many good defensive backs you have, like you're not going to be able to, because you're playing really good quarterbacks now. Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, potentially. We'll see what happens with that. Ryan Tannehill is even a decent quarterback, and you're continuing to play these top quarterbacks. And
especially this year, too. You're going to have Kyler Murray. You're going to have Matt Stafford, Tom Brady.
You have a lot.
You have a lot of great – and you're going to have to play Lamar Jackson again this year. So you're going to have a lot of quarterbacks that are really going to need some defensive ends to really step up.
And as good as the Colts defense was last year, we saw they kind of tapered off because why? They couldn't get to the quarterback on the edge, right? And also talking about, I forgot to mention this, the defensive interior. Like, we like the defensive interior. We love Grover Stewart. We love DeForest Buckner. We like Taylor Stallworth. But I would say if there's one thing that interior was lacking beyond DeForest Buckner, it was pass rush ability, especially with losing Danico Autry to free agency. You just didn't really have that anymore.
Yep.
So I think overall I like this quite a lot. It's interesting now how many picks the Colts have invested in defensive line. It's wild, man. It's absolutely wild.
Yep.
But still some more positions of need. But honestly, I feel like there's other ways you can address left tackle. There's other ways you can address tight end, even maybe wide receiver. Some needs that we think, and the Colts still have a couple more picks, right?
And the Colts will have four. We'll have 4 picks tomorrow if they don't do anything. They're going to address wide receiver. They're going to get some more offensive line help. They may even get a tight end in the 4th round if they fall that far, which honestly they could.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what Ballard and company does the rest of this night. We may end up having another video to do. We don't know.
Yeah,
but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And but nevertheless, exciting nonetheless. I see some good potential there. Again, just like the Kwity Paye thing, athletic, long, has the intangibles. It's just, can we coach this guy to be what we think he can be?
Yes.
And I mean, just move on from there.
Yeah, and after the run on tackles, there was a huge run on tackles right before that. Dylan Runs went right before to the Tennessee Titans. So I know, it was a bummer.
Destin's probably just smashing his computer.
Yes, but honestly, though, there was a lot of tackles that we wanted that were gone.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense. I personally was like, trade back, but the Colts have a conviction on a guy, man. I've learned to trust Ballard, trust that process, not freak out because I think it's not a great pick or I don't agree with, the position they picked. Ballard does this every year, like I said earlier, so let's not be shocked by this. But just wanted to give our thoughts a little bit on the newest member of the Indianapolis Colts, Mr. I'm going to pronounce it. Dayo
Odeyingbo.
All right, I'm going to have to work on that.
He's going to work on that.
I swear, man, Ballard every year when he drafts these defensive ends, he drafts guys with like the hardest names to pronounce, and he does it, I think, in spite of me. Kamoko Ture took a while. I pronounced Ben Banagou's name wrong the first time they drafted him. And so I'm obviously joking, but yeah, nonetheless, Colts added their defensive line. Overall, I like this move. I think he has a lot of potential to be a really effective pass rusher, but let us know what you guys think. I think this is going to be a pretty controversial one, but let us know nonetheless. That'll do it for this one, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.